But they'll day off tonight and it'll be mostly dry. However, rain will affect parts of Munster later. A cool night with lowest temperatures of 6 to 10 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Now, welcome along. So the Dubs put together pretty much the scariest and most impressive 12 minutes of football people have seen in some time. They are one game away from the 5 in a row, and nobody really is holding out much hope for Kerry. We'll have Kieran Donaghy and Billy Joe Padden with us after 8 o'clock. We're talking opening weekend of the Premier League. Kenny Cunningham gives us the rundown on Harry Maguire around 7:30. Kevin Kilbane here in studio and on the football show. Luke Edwards will join us as well. It was a grim welcome up at St James's Park for Steve Bruce. And we'll have Liam Tolan with us as well. Injury fears over Joey Carbery, who was very impressive at the Aviva Stadium on what was otherwise a fairly flat day. And New Zealand, worrying times. A record defeat and no sense of direction at the moment, it seems. 53106 is the text number. We are at Off the Ball on Twitter. We'll talk to Liam Tolan about the rugby. That's at around 8:40. Richie McCormack here in studio. Hello.
I'm just recovering from a slightly surreal moment outside in the office. Not Kevin Kilbane's phone going off in studio. That kind of lack of professionalism we're used to. Anne Doyle just strode into the office. Like, hands in pockets. She walked around the corner, having a look around, just like going, what's going on here? Is this the Off the Ball office? And everybody just stopped and looked up and was like, is that Anne Doyle? Do you know when you kind of feel like you're in the presence of something? A presence of someone who's like way above your grade.
Well, look who's right beside you.
I said, do you know when you feel that presence? Anne Doyle just sauntered into the office and everybody just looked up and went, jeez, there's Anne Doyle.
I missed this. Was this just in the last few minutes?
You were off either getting your coffee or doing your pre-7 evacuation.
Joe, you'd have been networking there, Joe.
Not worth it. Come on in, Anne. This is what life is like without the licence fee.
Exactly.
Have a look around.
She's in talking to Barry Egan there in one of the studios around the corner. So, yeah, nice. Anne Doyle. Presence of greatness, Joe.
That's royalty.
Absolutely.
Royalty, Kev. You
get that air off.
No, I wouldn't fully appreciate it, would I?
It's like Trevor McDonald popped in and said, hey, Kev.
Who's that? Yeah.
Kev didn't watch the news as a kid.
Trevor McDonald.
Oh, yeah, Joe, it's a joke. Come on, Jesus.
Didn't know footballers, Kev. You don't know sometimes.
Do you?
Well,
I'll let you know me, though. Come on.
That's true. So when we last spoke, you were heading for a weekend where you were going to be on the BBC's Final Score.
Yeah.
At around the same time that Mayo were throwing in against Dublin. So how did all that transpire for you? At what stage were you kind of sneakily watching the match? Because you're on air.
Joe, I was on air, Joe. I was working. How could I have watched the game?
What time does Final Score go on to?
5:30.
So the first half of the match, what was your setup?
Well, I couldn't watch it, of course, because I was working, Joe, as I said.
But what was your actual setup?
What's the picture like in the tablet?
I was in studio.
Between friends, did you get to see the first half?
Yeah.
So how did it work? Did you have your phone at your feet?
iPad
at the feet?
Just like that. Just kind of
table.
Tucked, in
keeping
there.
an eye on everything.
Yeah.
That's legitimate, given that most of the Premier League football's over at 5.
It finishes. Yeah, there's a lot of interview. There was not actually too much to do. You kind of just off the back of a couple of reports and things like that. So you've watched the games. Yeah. Essentially, your work's done.
You're good. So you're off the air at 5:30.
Yeah.
5:35 goes.
No, we're off the air at 5:28. About 5:28 it was, and literally I was in the car at 5:31, and I was back in the pub at 5:48. So yeah, and then disaster struck about 8 minutes later, maybe 10 minutes later.
Okay, so 5:48 isn't time for the start of the second half.
Yeah,
it would have been.
Yeah.
And you must have been thinking, bloody Mayo, they're on here again. They've done it again. Only Mayo can match the Dubs. You thought that to yourself, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Only Mayo can do this.
Although I did have about 50 texts on my phone.
It's on here. It's on here.
Yeah, I ignored every single one of the texts. I'm thinking, there's no chance I'm getting carried away with this. Absolutely no chance. Because I always remember, you think that when we played at the Euros against France and we were 1-0 up. And we were 1-0 up at half-time. We were drawing, were we? What happened? What happened in the France game? The one in Lyon.
1-0 up.
We were 1-0 up at half-time, weren't we? Yeah, the penalty, 1-0 up. And text came through.
I don't think it was quite half-time.
I don't think we got to half-time. I think
it was 1-1 then, was it?
Scored. Might have been 1-1.
Was it 1-1 then? Yeah. We were brilliant.
I know Griezmann definitely scored one at the same end that we scored.
Yeah. I was thinking 1-0 in my head, but it probably was 1-1. So many games, and it felt like that. Don't reply to any text. Where I replied to text in that France game. Playing well here, lads. I tell you, got a chance. Bang, game over. And it was pretty much. But I didn't reply to any of the texts. I just thought there's no chance I'm replying to any of those texts.
Do you want to relive it with me for a second? Because I was at the game, and then it was just.
Well, I had a lot of gobshites around me as well, Joe. Sorry for swearing in the pub. So that's what didn't make it great.
Dubs fans?
A bit of everything.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a few Donegal fans as well that was saying, you don't deserve to be there anyway. You know, you lost 2 games and a lot of that.
Jeez.
So I'd say maybe 10 minutes from the end of the game, I was having my second pint of Guinness and I walked out. I couldn't be bothered.
Oh, really?
I walked out.
Couldn't face it.
I couldn't face it. I watched Spurs against Villa the last 20 minutes or so.
I was there with my Mayo parents again. I said, come on, we got to go. Got to do this just in case. We were sat in amongst all Dublin fans. Whatever way I'd managed to get the tickets, in amongst the Dublin fans. It was fine. So half-time, I really thought, Mayo have a game plan here. This is working. You know, keep ball. Turns out James Horan, now watching the Sunday game highlights, was actually going wild at this and pointing up the line as if to say, get the ball moving quicker. But I thought it was all part of the plan to keep the ball. I'd never seen Dublin turned over so often.
Defensively, Mayo in the first half were amazing. I think that's what was most impressive about them. Whatever about the actually nudging 2 points in front, the defensive effort from them was superb.
They'd had one wide in the first half as well.
They'd had shots drop short as well, though. They'd had a couple of efforts that I think should have gone over.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But it was looking promising-ish. It was like, gee,
as promising as it can be.
As it can be. You couldn't have foreseen what was going to happen. So then,
you could have.
Well, maybe to a point.
Yeah.
Just all the matchups were going. Like Keegan on Con, you weren't saying after the first half, Con O'Callaghan's going to score 2 goals.
Yeah.
You just weren't. No one was thinking that. McCaffrey on Durkin was working a treat for them. Even Mannion, who was just sublime. Harrison was doing it okay on him. Colin Boyle doing a sweeping thing, kicked that great point. James Carr was having the better of his man. Aidan O'Shea was in the ball. You know, a lot of things were going okay. Okay. Dean Rock point right from the throw-in. There was a silly foul. It was Barrett. Rock pops over that ball. Henley goes halfway line. Colin Boyle wins it. They get the ball to Durkin. That's the one that drops short off the crossbar.
Yeah.
Big moment in hindsight.
Big moment, yeah, it was.
Ball goes up the other end. Kilkenny to Con versus Keegan. Suddenly goal. They lead by 2 points. Keegan slips. Even at that point, I thought, we're in trouble here. Then Henley's kick out straight to Brian Howard.
Yeah.
Of all the moments to do that. Now, luckily, they put that wide, but it just, in the stadium at that point, Scully's wide, there was
I can well imagine, I've been in the stadium when there's been that type of mistake,
It struck me as if, like, for Mayo fans, it must have felt like the air was going out of the stadium. And Dublin fans just, I've never surfed, but they were on a wave, and they were right. Like, I'd say, if you were a Dublin fan, it was just the most glorious 12 minutes. Anyway, another Henley kick out. This time he goes long. Mayo win it, Durkin, but then he's turned over brilliantly. And then Dublin keep the ball for ages, and they put Scully in on goal, you remember, but he blasted it over the bar. But suddenly now it's 11 points to 8. And at that point, Mayo needed someone just to do something, because the crowd, they were just smelling blood. Next kick out, this is when the Fenton show started. Fenton catches it long. This is the Paul Mannion point from way out on the left-hand side. Glorious one, beautiful. Suddenly it's 4 points. Big trouble. Next kick out, 50-50 ball. Lee Keegan was holding Con. Another free. Suddenly it's 13-8. And then, as nail in the coffin, really, the next one was the Fenton mark. Remember where he caught it out on the right-hand side? A brilliant foot pass into Con again. He got it out to Mannion. Mannion tight ankle over the bar. And it was 14 points to 8.
That was bad, yeah.
So that was 1-5 in 7 minutes. I know people are saying it was a 12-minute thing, but really, that 1-5 in 7 minutes had Dublin 14 points to 8 up, and a 6-point gap in the context of a first half where Mayo had been brilliant and only scored 8 points. 6 points. Like, if a Mayo fan walked out then, you wouldn't have actually blamed them. And then, of course, Con gets a second goal.
That's the point where I started getting the dog ready and we went out for a walk.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Even before Con's second goal?
Before Con's second goal, I just was like, there's no point to the rest of this.
I think even look
I tweeted, sorry, Kev, before half-time, and goes, this is great crack, but we all know what's coming in the second half.
I wasn't so sure it was coming.
No, I absolutely knew.
Did you?
And then it came, and I was like, right, look, there's no point watching the rest of this.
Why did you think it was cool? I mean, look, it's a silly question to ask about the Dubs, but did you not think, geez, Mayo here?
No. Given this, a lot can be made of the 6-day turnaround, and I was thinking the whole way through, and especially watching the way they were defending, Mayo would want to have some tank on them to make sure that they can make this last 75 minutes, and I was fairly sure that they couldn't, given the turnaround and given the fact that Dublin had rested players against Tyrone. That's one fact. The second, it's Dublin. There was no way they were going to have a 35 minutes like that again. Yeah. And as soon as they managed to come out on the front foot in the second half, they were gone.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say there as well. I think first half, I think Dublin only scored 2 points from open play in the first half, didn't they? Dean Rock, honestly, and I know it's been said and done before, but you watch a lot of Gaelic football and you'll watch it. He's a 9 from 10 man with his frees. Now there's no other player He's kept them in the game, not playing great, but he just continues just to pop it over. No problem at all. Nothing phases him in the big moments. Yeah. And that almost sets them up. They're still in the game when they haven't played well. They scored 2 from open play. They're still in the game. And then, as you said, then the rest just kicks into place, doesn't it?
I was definitely worried about the Mayo energy. And I do think, actually, once Dublin even got 2-3 points ahead, I think that's when Mayo suddenly felt tiredness. Now, I'm not saying Mayo would have won that game if they'd had 2 or 3 weeks rest. I am not saying that before an angry Dublin fan gets in touch. But I do think once you go 2 or 3 down, suddenly it's an extra long way back when you're tired. And I do think legs became a factor then.
They would have been able to sustain their game plan for longer. Whether or not that had them in front, that's another story entirely.
I mean, they're just a great watch, aren't they? They are a great watch. They're great to watch. You can't get away from that.
They did get a touch impatient at times in the first half, Dublin. You know, and even groans from the crowd, and there was 1 or 2 pot shots, and there were just moments where it was like, come on.
That's happened a couple of times this year. That happened against Meath in particular in the first half, whereby Meath were, in terms of their shooting, were poor, but again, defensively, seemed to have Dublin's number, were confining Dublin to shots where they didn't want to be shooting from, areas where they didn't want to be shooting from, and the crowd were getting frustrated, and you could sense the players were too. And that's something, because when they play well, they play with a complete lack of passion. They will put you away without blinking, and without even thinking about you. And it's when they actually start thinking about things, when they start actually getting frustrated, that's when things aren't going their way.
And I was wondering, I didn't pick up on it as much against Meath, but I was wondering, would the combination of frustration on Saturday, times the fact, allied to the fact that suddenly this is their first knockout game, really, of the championship. This is the first one where the drive for 5 is
they're
on
a
the
soft
line.
Super 8, yeah.
And I would have thought, geez, this is where we might see the pressure at 5 in a row. It turns out.
Yeah.
It didn't affect them overly. You would have to say they reacted really well. Lads, ask Kev for his tips this weekend, because he tipped Mayo and Chelsea last weekend.
I'd stand by the Chelsea one, 100%, because I don't think United were 4 ahead of Chelsea. So
somebody makes a fair point, actually. Did you not think the Dubs' defence was just good in the first half? Mayo couldn't get close. They played a lot in their own half going across the pitch. Yeah, that is the other side of the coin. That is. I thought there was an element of like Mayo. The more time we have the ball, the less time you have the ball.
I had the similar thought as you, yeah.
But I guess Dublin weren't letting them through all that easily. We were 1-0 up against France at half-time in Lyon.
It was Lyon. It was 1-0, yeah, that's what I knew. It was 1-0.
I was there. So was this texter. I was there. Best feeling I've ever had as an Irish football fan, Michael Navin.
It was 1-0, and it's just in the text. How much of this said I had 50 texts, easy 50 texts.
Half-time, we were still 1-0 up.
I was like, we're going well here, lads. We're going well, honestly.
That 1-0 up against France felt a far more precarious thing than Mayo. I felt Mayo had a better chance at half-time than Ireland did against France. That was my sense.
But did you? Not at all.
I
would be tough. I tell Joe, no chance. That France game, you can't read a football game if you're saying that. No chance. We were more than in the game against France.
Kev, he's not a football man, is he?
Yeah.
I don't know, Kev. I must watch it back, but being there, I've never watched it back.
They didn't have. They weren't performing well. They weren't playing well.
Michael Navan adds, you need to be about 10 points up against the Dubs at half-time to have any chance of beating them.
Yep.
Mick and Finglas says he's listening to your Debacle and Ackle podcast again today. He enjoys it.
I'm not sure. You've got a lot of stick about that, but come on, honest to God.
What was the problem?
The problem was that it was
pro-Mayo.
Pro-Mayo, anti-Dublin. It was like, come on, like we're in Ackle, Jesus Christ.
We're doing a Dublin Super Value show coming up.
Yeah.
That will be all Dublin. And the night before your Debacle and Ackle, we had Pillar Caffrey in here holding court for 40 minutes, talking all things Dublin. The vast majority of Dublin fans are sound. There is a contingent of them who are just...
There's no reasoning with them, some of them.
Well, that's the best way. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Now, can we have a massive announcement that even those grudging Dublin fans might be happy to hear about?
They probably won't, because there's no Dubs involved.
No Dubs. Drum roll, please. This is the big one.
Wish, Kev.
Here we go. Off the ball, Kev. In association with Cadbury are bringing a monster Premier League roadshow your way. September the 4th is the day.
Yeah.
The guests, Kev, at the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre. The Bord Gáis Energy Theatre, Kev.
Yeah.
They'd want to be big guests.
Yeah, they would be big names.
Show.
They would want to be big names, top names.
The top names are, together, Roy Keane and Gary Neville.
Does it get much bigger than that, does it?
Well, no.
I think that's the show done for the evening.
Yeah.
We just walk away.
Who's hosting it on the night? Is that you?
I think myself and Nathan are there.
Oh, you're
we
good.
Draft you in as well, I presume.
There you go.
We draft you in as well, I presume.
I doubt that.
I don't think so. I think you and Roy have unfinished business.
Do we really? Is that right?
The last interview. Every time I go on YouTube, that video gets suggested to me. Roy with his beard.
Ah, well.
This is an exclusive off-air event. Tickets are limited. We'll have tickets on sale later this week, so keep an eye on all our social channels, which should be good. Oh, yeah, no, Kilbane will be drafted in for that.
There you go.
Be a few choice questions that we'll get you to ask, that we're too afraid to ask. Roy, about O2. No, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, look, that's going to be a doozy, obviously, September the 4th.
Just going back to the Dublin thing as well, can you see Dublin not winning 10 out of the next 12 All-Irelands?
I'd be very surprised if they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they talk like
18 out of the next 20, or they're on a run of winning 18 in 20. It sounds crazy when you say it.
I'm going for more 6 a decade.
I'd say more. I'd say 8 out of 10.
It's hard though, and it is knockout football.
I know.
You know, if the championship turns into a league, then I'll give Dublin 8 to 9 out of 10. I think in championship football, especially if, you know, a great manager like Jim Gavin goes, or a great player or two, you can get caught on a certain day, things might not go your way in knockout football. But I do reckon 6 out of 10 is a fairly good level.
I'd say slightly higher, but
a few of us were talking about it in the office on Friday, and we're saying that even if Mayo or whoever they would eventually play in the final, we now know it's Kerry, beat them this year, they'd probably still want to win the next year.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, even if they weren't going to win the 5 here, I think they could win the next 4 after that. I'm talking 8 in 10. That's where I think they are.
Jim Gavin may go.
Well, I was thinking the exact same thing today. Yeah. It can just throw everything out.
It can throw everything out very easily.
New manager, not quite happy with the players, players not happy, all that sort of thing, yeah. I agree with that, yeah, totally.
But if you were to say to me, Jim Gavin's going to be there for the next 5 years, then I'd say 4.
Yeah.
If Jim Gavin goes, then all bets are off.
4, possibly 5, yeah.
Possibly, yeah, well, possibly 5. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, they were a joy to watch on Saturday as well, so it's hard to kind of look at them and say they don't deserve it. I mean, they're not a bad candidate for the first 5 in a row team, are they? Now let's start the news round and get through a few bits and pieces before we get to Kenny Cunningham. Stephen O'Brien was the story yesterday at the end of the game.
Yeah, and Kerry hoped to have him cleared to play Dublin in that All-Ireland football final on September 1st. The Kenmare forward picked up his 3rd black card of the championship late in yesterday's semi-final win over Tyrone and would be suspended for September's decider. It's believed Kerry are hoping to overturn the black card that O'Brien received in their Super 8 win over Meath. Speaking after yesterday's 118 to 18 point victory, Peter Keane attempted to take the art of Yarra to a whole new plateau.
Well, I suppose, look, if you get into any final, you know, you want to win it. I wouldn't get too hung up on the negativity of stopping a team going for the 5 in a row. Of course, it's a unique achievement for Dublin to be in, going for the 5. But look, at the end of the day, we'll focus on our own positives and we'll give it a cut.
Exactly, you paddle your own boats.
We will, and hopefully there'll be no leak in it.
Speaking of our own more interesting Kelly there.
So Kieran Donaghy on the way after 8 o'clock alongside Billy Joe Padden. Alisson.
He will be out for the next few weeks. Lack of definition on this, but the Brazilian keeper limped off during the first half of Liverpool's 4-1 Premier League victory over Norwich on Friday with a calf injury. Liverpool faced Chelsea in the UEFA Super Cup on Wednesday before a trip to Southampton in the Premier League at the weekend. With Caoimhín Kelleher still out injured, Andy Lonergan is set to be signed as cover for Adrian on a short-term deal. Lonergan played in Liverpool's pre-season tour of the US, having been released by Middlesbrough at the end of last season. There's a nod from a Preston man to my right about
I know Andy very well, very well. I mean, you gutted for Caoimhín Kelleher, aren't you? Because he'd have been the next man in there. But I spoke to him at the Community Shield game last week, and he's lost, just in this pre-season alone, he's lost 1.5 stone in weight. He said it's a boot camp. He said all we do every day is run, and he's a goalkeeper. So yeah, he's lost 1.5 stone, yeah.
Wow, but you've had 1.5 stone to lose.
Well, I would imagine he's probably he's slightly overweight. He's quite lean actually, Andy, as well. He's quite a lean lad, tall, 6'3", 6'4". Probably, yeah, and of course he's been out. But he's not heavy.
Yeah.
But and what I mean is, he's not been training an awful lot, has he? He's
been reserve keeper at Championship and League One.
Yeah, he's not at a club, so he's not been training every day for a while. So he's going back in a little bit out of shape, I would imagine.
Would goalkeepers have done running in your day? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I'd say they weren't happy about it.
No, the old school ones would have been.
Picturing the likes of Paddy Kenny just saying, "No, you're all right."
Even I can see Shay Given saying, "I don't need to do this anymore, do I?" I guess Shay was pretty lean, in fairness to him. It's if you look at the Alisson injury, because Klopp said this afterwards, and then I saw the injury afterwards. Klopp was saying to Des Kelly on BT that Alisson thought somebody from the crowd had thrown something at his calf, at his Achilles, which is never a good sign, and obviously no one had. It was just...
So what did you do? Hamstring? You think you'd been shot?
Yeah.
So if you watch it now, Alisson goes to kick the ball out, and then goes, his leg clearly kind of, he kind of pulls his leg up in pain, but he actually turns around to see if something has been thrown at him. He believed it that much that someone had like shot something at him or thrown something at him. Anyone I know who's done their Achilles, they all say it felt like being shot in the back.
Anyone
of
that's
the
done
leg.
the hamstring, I never seriously did my hamstring, but I was the same as well. Felt like I'd been shot. That exact same injury, same type. Yeah.
Well, I just think that I got it. I believed it. Bit of a cliche, but Alisson literally, if you watch it back,
He's playing in front of the cop as well. So it's nice to know that he has that faith. The most durable of Liverpool supporters.
So Ireland have not named their 31-man squad, but Eddie Jones said, "What the hell?"
England head coach Eddie Jones. He's left Mike Brown and Ben Teo out of his squad for the World Cup. The pair were believed to have been involved in an altercation during training camp in Treviso a fortnight ago, and neither will head to Japan. Uncapped former Sevens player Rory McConaughey has been named in the squad. Lewis Ludlam, Jack Singleton and Willie Heinze, who all earned first caps against Wales yesterday, are also included. Ireland will face England in their next warm-up game. That's on Saturday week, and Jones' side open up their Pool C campaign against Tonga on September the 22nd. The head coach, though, refused to be drawn on the absence of Teo and Brown in their supposed fight.
Well, again, I'm not going to go into reasons why he's not selected. We've had that conversation with Ben. He understands it. Whether he agrees with us, another matter. But we've had that discussion with him, and he's just not in our top 31 players at the moment. Well, again, we don't go into reasons as to why we select and non-select. We're respectful of the job you've got to do, but unfortunately it doesn't go to the fact that we will disclose conversations we have with players.
Eddie Jones with similar problems to Kevin Kilbane.
Yeah, there you go.
And there's broadcasting happening.
Turn it off, mate.
Dublin put you away without passion, says Richie. You obviously missed the fist pumps after every goal. I knew what you meant, though.
Yeah.
They don't care about the opposition. They care about themselves.
Con definitely went over to Lee Keegan after both goals, went looking for him and said, "See that?" Keegan, the first time, just tried to avoid eye contact at all times. Con just kind of jumping up in front of him. He's just turned into a killer. The second goal was just cruel. It was just a phenomenal moment. Lads, be interesting to see what would happen if Mayo or Kerry had the same money as Dublin, says Phil. Wow, I mean, like...
Or if Mayo and Kerry had a population of 1.2 million.
It's as much a part of it, and in the short term they wouldn't do much with all the money. It's not like there's a transfer market. It would be a generation away.
I just think it's amazing, that I think you look at the way that the game's gone, particularly in Dublin in the last 15 years or so, when you were hearing stories of clubs going under, not being able to entice youngsters in. Now you don't see that in Dublin at all. I mean, every club's full. You speak to a lot of the people around the different clubs. It's just incredible. It is, and that's where I worry for football, for soccer. That's obviously we're looking at that, and we're looking at what's happening at the FAI, and we're seeing more stories coming out this weekend on the FAI, and this is what is a huge worry with the dominance that Dublin GAA has. It's an unbelievable story what they have done and what they've achieved.
It's gone full circle, given how worried the GAA were about soccer after Italia 90.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Every Usheen and Naisha in South Dublin is playing GAA.
Yeah, it's unreal.
It's Nisha, and I'll ask you not to talk about my third born that way.
Did you go with Naisha?
Yeah. We have a bunch of like Uta Roaches at home. It's disgraceful. We're so middle class.
Oh dear. And do the other two have Irish names?
Dara and Rian.
Good man.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. TV analyst comment of the weekend, says somebody, Tomas O'Shea, if Kerry play a first half like Mayo and a second half like the Dubs, then I think they have a chance. It's hard to see Kerry doing a number, isn't it, at this stage?
About that.
Yeah. So, last couple of stories.
Yeah, Wales dealt another major injury blow ahead of the Rugby World Cup. First choice fly half Gareth Anscombe ruled out of the tournament after he suffered a anterior cruciate ligament injury in that defeat against England at Twickenham yesterday. Tulupe Faletau also missing from that squad. Hullers Dundalk have been drawn away to Derry City in the pick of the FAI Cup second round ties this evening. Shamrock Rovers will be at home to First Division promotion contenders Drogheda United. Bohemians' reward for beating Shelbourne is a home tie against either Longford Town or Athlone. They'll play the rearranged tie tomorrow night. Cork City will be away to First Division opposition yet again when they travel to Galway. There'll be a Dublin derby at Belfield with UCD facing St Pat's. Two of the remaining non-league sides have to face each other, with Crumlin United up against Lucan United. The other non-league side, Glengad United of the Inishowen League, will face Waterford. Sligo's reward for putting 8 past Glebe North is a home tie against Limerick, and those ties will be played between the 25th and 28th of this month.
Just one last quick story before we go. Coutinho
seems like he is on his way to Bayern Munich on loan from Barcelona. Reports from Catalonia say if the move happens, then Bayern would have to pay all of Coutinho's €11 million a year salary. Inter midfielder Ivan Perisic has already undergone a medical ahead of a loan move from the Serie A side to the Bundesliga champions.
That is your news round, courtesy of Richie McCormack. Short ad break, and then we're back with Kenny Cunningham.
Off the Ball on Newstalk.
Darling, look at those clouds. Can you bring the sheets in?
Right, so. Come on now. Come on. Get inside, please. That's it.